school artists. I have my mat here. I just finished a painting in watercolor, and I want to see how it looks in a mat. You know, this mother cat and her baby came in and climbed up in a basket, and I painted her picture. I wonder if she could be a friend of Cece's.
Oh, say, that is a lovely cat there. She does look familiar, you know. Maybe one of my old friends or something. How did you paint that there, that portrait there, Miss Polly?
Oh, I painted this one in watercolor, Cece.
Oh, water. Oh, no, not water. Oh, tell me you didn't. You know I can't stand water.
I wish you'd get used to water, Cece, because today we're going to learn to paint with tempera, and you have to use water.
You mean the school artists are going to use tempera paint and water, too?
Oh, that's right. They love to paint as soon as they learn how.
Oh, do you have any paintings that were done by the school artists?
Oh, yes, I do. I have some done by 6-year-olds. Over here on my bulletin board.
Oh, yes, they are nice. I like that one with the flower there that looks a bit bigger than the house.
Yes, I like that one, too. You know what that means? That means that Stacy really likes flowers.
Brian has a bright one there. It's very colorful.
Oh, yes, that is a very good painting that Brian has done.
But I think my favorite one is that one of the yellow cat. You know, I'm
nice.
a yellow cat also. I guess you could call me yellow because I'm afraid of water. A little joke there.
Does this mean that you don't want to learn to paint with tempera?
Oh, well, I don't know, Miss Polly. I think you'd better show the school artist how to paint with tempera, and I'll just go outside here and sunbathe and get a little nap in the sun. You know, us cats like to lie around in the sun there.
Well, okay, I can understand that, Cece. That'll be all right.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye. I can understand a cat wanting to go in the sun, and I can understand you wanting to learn to paint with tempera. So I'm going to show you some things that you might need to know. For example, when I look in my paint box here, I have several things that I'll need. I have a long brush, I have clean cloth, and I have several jars of paint. And if your jars of paint are like mine, sometimes they get kind of dry up in the shelf. And so it's a good idea to know what consistency that your paint should be. By that I mean how thick or thin it is. So let's see if I can get the lid off this one. And I'll take a stick. It's very handy. Don't use your brush. Use a stick and stir it. And if it's too thick, if the paint's too thick, sometimes it does get rather thick. Add water to it, about like that, until it's all ready to go. And of course, if you have powdered tempera, I'd like to suggest that you use jars and put in the amount of water that you need for your powdered tempera. And I always use newspapers till I get everything ready. So I'll put our paint over here. And now I hope you have a large sheet of paper for today's art, because it's very hard to paint small. And it's so much fun to paint large. So, some classrooms even have large easels, and you sometimes can use your butcher paper. I have a large sheet here, and I'm going to paint with this orange paint, and let's talk about how to use the brush. First of all, I usually get my brush wet, just to make sure. Then I dip into the paint, not all the way down, just as far as the brush. And then I always wipe it off. You know what that does? It keeps me from dripping. So don't be a dripper. Dip it in, wipe it off. And then you're ready to paint. And I hope you watched. We drew a cat last time, but today we're going to paint a cat. And we'll start with that round shape because we said the cat's head is very much the shape of a ball. And we used a big word called sphere. So there's the head. And now let's make some little pointed ears at the top of the head, something like this. Then let's make the body next. The same color. I'm using a bright orange color, and the body's shaped kind of like an oval balloon perhaps. And then let's make the paws, the feet, front feet, and then perhaps we'll show the back feet, and a nice little tail. How's that? Now I'm ready to wash out my brush. And even very young artists can learn to wash out the brush because it's very important to keep your paints clean. When you wash the brush, get your brush in the water, and then finally wipe it off. And let's open this one up. I've stirred this one ahead of time, so it's ready to go. I'll go ahead and open these jars. Now, the eyes will be painted right on top of the orange. You could paint around it, but this is an easy way to do it. And if your paint isn't quite dry, just remember to wash out your brush before you dip it in back into the paint, because I might get some orange on it, see. Okay, let's show a little bit of ground while I have that color. Oh, let's give him a nose. This about like a cat's nose, his little mouth. And let's go ahead and give him his whiskers. I believe C.C. said that he had 3 whiskers, but I think maybe there may be more than 3. Now wash out the brush. Now would be a good time to put in the sky. So I'll put in some nice watching, not to be a drifter. And then we'll paint in the sky, and we'll paint right around the cat. You can leave some white showing. It just sort of looks like clouds. And you might want to bring the sky all the way down, about like this. Just have a little more of that nice blue sky. Each time remembering, you know, some classes like to put their desks all together, and they use the same water and they use the same paints. So you have to learn to share. And you have to be very careful. Now let's go to green. I want to show you how to paint grass. What way does grass grow? Well, it grows straight up out of the ground. So that's the way I paint grass. Kind of fun to paint grass like that. Bring some grass down here. And if the grass is cut very short, sometimes it might be painted like this. How will you paint your grass? And then let's add some trees. And I think this painting is ready to place on the bulletin board, don't you? I like to put up paintings because they look different as soon as you put them up. You have a different view of it. So I'll put it up with my push pins here. And now let's talk about some of the problems that you have when you have all these jars of tempera. How would you like to get rid of that? Some of you classroom teachers have already discovered this kind of paint. This is a tempera. Comes about 12 in a box. Let's take out about that many colors. Might need another color. Let me put the box over here out of the way. Then I'll need another sheet of paper. Now let's look at this. It looks a lot like a big watercolor, but it's really tempera paint. And I think if you ever try it, you'll decide you like it much better than jars that may get pushed over or may get broken. Take your water. Let me get to my clean water here. And the first thing you'll want to do is to get each one wet, just as we do watercolor, before you start painting. Then it's nice and soft and ready to go. I think I need this other color right here. This looks like a nighttime sky color. All right. Now I'm thinking about a cat again, and I want to paint a different kind of cat this time. This cat's going to be going to the side, but it still has a very round head. So I'll put his head right about here. He has a mouth open, And I'll give him some ears. I'm painting with black tempera because somehow or another it's a black cat you think about when you think of a certain time of year. He has a neck. Then he arches his back, so I just draw kind of a curve like this. His front feet curving, and his back feet do kind of go like that. Let's show the other one. What kind of tail do you think he should have? Well, he's very frightened. He couldn't frighten me, I think, just drawing him getting kind of scared. That's right, he has a tail that goes straight up, and when a cat is very scared, it seems to me the hair just kind of stands out, and sometimes even on the back. Wow. Now, if I add, let's see, what else could I add to this? And it will certainly create a mood. This is a big old fence. I can see a little bit of that fence on the other side of the cat and over here. And perhaps I'll have a dead tree growing, something like this. And I might add an owl and some grime. And I certainly do need, how about a bright, bright yellow moon? And then, after it dries a little bit, I can add the sky. Here's the color of the sky. So you just work it in behind each little thing. And if the white shows a little bit, it's quite all right. Put in our sky over here, and a little bit over here. All right, that's kind of a different kind of a picture. Let me put this one up with my pins. Do you know, I've painted two cats. This was a cat, and this is a cat, but it was very different because this cat's frightening. Say, what's that noise? What is that?
Oh, no.
My goodness. C.C., what has happened? What happened to
Would
you?
you believe that it's raining outside? So
Oh, no.
I guess I'll come. Looks like it's raining in here, too. I think you better shut that window.
Okay.
Oh, yes. So I believe I'll just come right on in here and learn a little bit about tempera paint. It's surely not as bad as being outside in all the rain.
Oh, no, I think you really will enjoy it. I think you will enjoy it too, school artist. So go ahead and paint with your tempera. And now let's see if I can get CC dry enough for this
yes,
project.
I'm all wet. Could you
My
give me-
goodness,
Oh,
you
give me
did
your-
get
would you get
wet.
my-